All right, the Hangout on Air is live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to So Many Levels. Tonight, we're going to play some Dungeons and Dragons.
Yay!
We are running a little bit behind due to some technical difficulties, not on our part, but on Twitch, which is down at the moment.
Yeah. We were ready. We were here.
Yeah, but that's okay. Outages happen, and thankfully we were able to make it work. With you guys may be noticing a new layout this time, and I'm just realizing that I have such a narrower field now that I keep feeling like I'm off center. Oh no. Oh, fiddle with the camera.
Kind of a tight fit.
I love it, man. I do.
It's all fancy and stuff.
Yeah, well, I like that this way we have everybody kind of on screen at once, and we don't have to, the switching back and forth that the Hangouts will usually do is always a little bit awkward because occasionally you'll get someone will make just like a little and then it'll switch to them, and even though someone else is still talking, and then it's all just messy. But now we get to see everybody at once. So we've been away for a few weeks from the So Many Levels campaign, the party known as the Heroes of Legend. Who remembers what happened last time?
I got home.
Yeah? Well, for that matter, maybe we should introduce everybody. So, our players tonight, Starla Hutchton as Nirakina Ethu, High Elf Cleric.
Ain't gonna mess me up there. I'm not used to being first. Greetings and salutations. There you go.
We have Vivid Muse as Amethyst, the human druid.
Hi.
We have Mark Kilfoyle as Alaric Copperbeard, Dwarven Rogue Fighter.
Hello.
And Chooch Schubert as Autocree, the Tiefling Paladin.
Good evening.
All right, so reintroduced everybody. I'll just
as our GM, we have Christiana Ellis.
Oh, yes. I am Christiana Ellis, the dungeon master for tonight's adventure.
Woo!
So last time we were dealing with the immediate fallout of you guys had just cleared out and sealed 2 interdimensional rifts down in the I'm just realizing with this layout, when you guys mute, it shows that little mute symbol on your little icon for everybody.
That's what I was just looking to see. I was just going to see.
That's kind of funny. Aww. I wonder if I have a way to not do that, but okay. Anyway, that's
for people to know.
Well, I mean, if people want to hear us do stuff like burp into the microphone and stuff, I mean, keep it on. But
what you mean? You guys don't all have rigs with cough buttons and all? Anyway,
I just got to remember not to scratch my nose. It's like you can see me now.
Well, you guys, you can see the mute thing, and that's okay, I think. But certainly, we'll know for sure if someone's muted. Where were we? Okay, so you had sealed 2 rifts down in the caverns beneath these mines in the Copperbeard territory of the Barrier Mountains. You had met your new ally, Alaric Copperbeard, who had been stranded down there, imprisoned by the rogue steam golem. And you guys defeated that, made your way down, sealed a couple of rifts, fissures in space-time, and then discovered the mysterious and sudden alarming disappearance of Mugen in a way that seems beyond recovery. So, at the beginning of the last episode, you guys were just dealing with some of the fallout of that. And you discussed what your plans were for leaving the mine, and then you made your way back up. You found Alaric's father, and there was a dramatic father-son confrontation about revealing that Alaric was still alive. What was the nature of the the tension that had led to the fall of the mine in the first place, what was going to happen now, and basically what's the plan. So as you all arranged it, there's going to be a feast in your honor. Not something necessarily huge, but certainly these are events worthy of celebration. And you also arranged that Alaric Copperbeard's father, Yogthor Copperbeard, who had long had a personal vendetta against Mugen, would now be forced to build a statue in his honor.
And
that
a
was the
second
best.
Nice.
So when we last left you, you had actually been enjoying some ale with Alaric's mother in one of the sort of kitchen, areas. But on the agenda, suggested by a couple of people, was the idea of having Alaric visit one of the temples in the area in order to hopefully have his arm healed, the arm that had been broken and healed poorly from an old injury.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like the sound of that. Is that a happening thing?
We probably
He seemed reluctant to go. Fix yourself.
If I could fix myself, I'd be much happier. But I suppose I should go to the temple.
Go to the place that can fix yourself.
They're going to give me a lecture.
I just might. I've been doing that.
She likes
They
to
always give
mom
me a
people.
lecture.
Even though I'm older than her, it's very strange.
It's not something I like to do. Bullshit.
Necessary.
That's a good way to put it, Jude. I mean, autocracy.
I'd feel a bit better if all of you were there,
Well,
especially if they start to drone on and on.
I'm happy to go with you if you're uncomfortable in that setting.
It's just, well, you seem nice and all, and you seem to worship a mountain, so that sort of makes sense. But these temple types always give me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, which is why I was never particularly drawn to this profession. But
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's go.
Maybe we could have just another round. Or
Absolutely.
maybe some
Amen.
supper. I could take you on a tour of the building, maybe.
I think now you're stalling.
Certainly seems like it.
Nice building.
Incidentally, at a little bit after we left last time, your mother, Alaric, had needed to occupy herself with the preparations for the feast to be held, so she excused herself and had left you guys around the table to yourselves. After having given you a look when she suggested going to see Father Igneous.
Yeah, I know that look. It hasn't changed in 4 years since I've been away. It hasn't changed in 100 years since I've been born. All right.
Well, if nothing else, maybe I can distract him with a conversation about the fire elemental that was in the platinum mine.
That might help. Just don't distract him at the wrong time, or this could end up really weird. Anyway, I suppose I put it off long enough. Shall we?
Let's do it.
All right. So, Alaric, you certainly know the way.
Mhm.
You lead the rest of the party in a direction that they haven't been yet, because your entire time spent in the Copperbeard territory so far had either been down in that mine or taken a specific train straight to the private entrance of Yogthor Copperbeard's estate. So you actually hadn't been in the common areas of this territory. And so you leave the estate part through the front door this time and find that it's a big open plaza, in many ways very similar to the one that you found when you entered the gate from outside. But in here, you see that races other than dwarves are much less common. And the reason for that being that people are not just allowed into this area without approval and authorization. The common areas, the bazaars near the two gates, are where trade with outsiders is done. Here is more dwarf business. And so you guys, you non-dwarfs, certainly get a lot of looks. And everyone seems mostly just interested in your unusual, what's going on here. But Alaric actually starts getting some looks too, because, wait, wasn't he dead? Where was he all this time? What's going on? And so it's also clear that you suspect, Alaric, that the word of what has happened, even if it was kept under wraps before, rumors are spreading pretty fast, you would guess, at this point.
Jeez.
So you have no idea how much people really know or what's going on, but there's definitely, you see some activity. Some people recognize you, but no one has approached you or interfering with you guys in any way. So you move into the plaza, and there's this same sort of air movement, pipe organ tone that has been in all of these large dwarven areas that you've been so far. This sound as the air moves through these giant circulating passages. And the tones tell you, Alaric, that it is mid-morning right now.
Yeah, he kind of closes his eyes and concentrates. It's good to be home, at least for that alone. You don't know how distorted they were below. Well, I guess you do, but it really messes with your head.
See that?
So there's also fewer musicians compared to the previous bazaar. It seems like there's a much more business-oriented atmosphere in this area. You know, what trade is being done is haggled over more specifically. It's the type of haggling from, you know, the restaurant owner and the fish seller that have been arguing over the same sets of purchases for decades, as opposed to new and unusual trades. And so you make your way across this central plaza area, and you see that there are some enormous carvings that at first glance you'd almost think they're natural, but then you realize they're a little bit too perfect and symmetrical to be a normal, natural occurrence. But there are these really striking stalagmites and stalactites growing up in these parallel lines, growing, you know, longer towards the outside and then narrower, framing this big open window through which you see pillars and ornate stone carvings indicating the outside of the temple to Haraz, which is, as Alaric would know, a magma spirit of earth and fire that is one of the larger spirits that's worshipped in this area. And again, worship in this context, to remind everybody, and the way that this works in here is that they're not quite deities, but they certainly are extremely powerful spirits in this area, and it is to everybody's interest that there is a mutual benefit. And so showing the spirits respect, honor, giving them gifts and that sort of thing to keep them happy sort of keeps everything running smoothly, and it functions in much the same way that in some other universe you might imagine worship of deities. But in this case, it is not an intangible quality that's in some other plane. It is a spirit that you can see and talk to when it chooses to show itself. But so you make your way through the entrance of this temple, and you see a few people in a little bit of a sanctuary who are sitting cross-legged on the ground, eyes closed in thought, and you make your way through this area to a large altar that glows red, because as you get closer, you see there's what looks like a naturally formed cauldron that has just been extruded and carved right out of the floor of this chamber. It's because the base of it transitions directly into the floor with no seam. But in this cauldron, looks like it is just molten magma, like from a volcano. But there's just this cauldron of it right in the middle, and it's near an altar. And standing behind the altar is a very old dwarf who has lost a lot of his stockiness and strength to age. He is very wizened. He has, pure white beard, sunken eyes, but he looks up, and those eyes are pretty sharp still for such an obviously ancient dwarf. And he looks up, looks at the rest of you briefly, and then looks to you, Alaric, and says, "Well, it's been a while, hasn't it, young Copperbeard?"
Yeah. Hi, Father Ignis. It's, I was stuck in a mine. It's not really my fault this time. Mostly.
He does smile and say, "I had been told you are dead. So the fact that you have come here at all does my heart good. I see, though, your arm. You were injured?"
Yeah, this is, it's inconvenient. I was told that you might be able to do something. I've kind of gotten used to it. I probably could be fine, Sure, I can't really climb a rope all that well, but, I haven't really had to for...
Enough of that nonsense. Obviously, we will heal you. Haraz understands and respects the gratitude that has been shown by the entire Copperbeard clan, and is more than willing to do the healing, even for a dwarf that only shows up to services when he needs something.
That's not... I showed up that other time. I didn't need anything, really. Little advice, maybe a blessing, but that's nothing, right?
Alaric, I've always sensed that you find discomfort rather than grace in the presence of Haraz.
Yeah, that's probably right.
This is not altogether difficult to understand. After all, the ways of spirits are not the ways of us mortal creatures.
You can tell me that again. They just sort of... I don't really understand how all this stuff works.
Yeah, join the club.
At that,
better than I do.
At that, this dwarf turns to look at you and says, so Alaric, have you lost your manners down in that mine? Are you going to introduce your friends?
Oh, no. I guess I did. These are my friends. The one who spoke, that one, the elf, that's Nirakina Ethu. She's like you, but not with Haraz.
I'm a cleric of Rushama. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Oh, indeed. Fascinating. I have many questions for you if you're willing to talk at a more opportune time.
Well, I don't know that I have, sure. I'd be happy to.
They need to, there's a lot of pressing things to do in the world, and they're kind of...
Yeah. He would have reached out to kind of take your hand in his old wrinkly ones Nira and kind of just pat you like grandfather would if you are allowing that.
Sure. Just awkwardly kind of, oh, this is nice.
And this one, now that we have things on screen, I'm trying to point in the right direction. This one's called Amethyst, like the stone. And she's stronger than most of them.
Indeed. The amethyst is a beautiful stone, and I am sure you do your namesake proud. And how about this charmingly colored fellow? You are a tiefling, am I not mistaken?
Yes, sir, I am.
He's Otterkey. They sometimes call him Archie. I don't know how that works.
Is it true? Is it true that you are able to withstand burns?
Better than most people.
Really?
Fascinating.
That's kind of neat.
I had heard such a thing. You know, I have wondered myself sometimes if having some resistance to burns would come in handy. It is something, it's somewhat of a hazard of the occupation, you understand. But then again, I suppose if there was no risk of pain from getting so close, one could become careless.
Yeah,
certainly. Been accused of being careless a time or two.
Unfortunately, his occupation comes with the hazards of its own.
Are you adventurers then?
They're heroes, actually.
Of legend.
Heroes of legend, you say? Fascinating.
Maybe keep that between us. I guess Mugen used to say it all the time, but
Mugen? Isn't that the little fox fellow that your father was so excited about?
Yeah, that was a case of mistaken identity.
It was complicated.
We met him long after that.
Yeah, long after that. But everything with Mugen was complicated, so.
There'll be a statue that maybe explains nothing.
A statue? Well, I look forward to hearing the rest of that story. But that can wait. First, let me take a look at your arm, if I might.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of bound up here a bit. And, well, I find if you pull out this one, this part's a little bit tender.
Nira's gonna reach over to help him.
I don't think. Oh, thanks. I don't think it's supposed to. I mean, there's a lot of bends in there that probably weren't there originally.
Yeah.
It doesn't really. The fingers don't really move the same way. I mean, it's kind of a little bit bent.
So he looks it over with the kind of the eye of someone who has seen many injuries before. This is, after all, once you're talking about anything more than basic first aid, this is what your people do, is they bring them to those who are able to perform spiritual healing magics. And so he looks in at your arm and says, "Oh dear, this must be very painful. I'm sorry that you were trapped so long in a place where you were just forced to live with it."
I was forced to live with a lot of things, and well, that's done now. There'll be another statue for that.
I'm glad that you have emerged safely from your trials.
Well, I have them to thank for it. I mean, even if they don't like the title, I still call them heroes.
Well, what Alaric survived the past few years is something I think not many of us could truly appreciate.
It was tough.
I've always sensed potential in you, Alaric. It is partly why I pressed you so hard to continue your spiritual education. But I know that the life of a cleric is not for everyone, so you will choose your own path as you always have. And in the meantime, I hope that you will remember what the spirits are able to do for you. So let me take care of this now. And he places his hands on your arm, and you see his fingers start to glow with just this warmth and light, and it actually starts to crackle almost a little bit, like there's just tiny wisps of smoke coming from his fingers, but it's not painful at all. In fact, everywhere that it touches, your arm is just sort of suffused with this pleasant warmth. And then you actually feel a pop in your elbow, and then just more of this pleasant warmth, and your fingers start to tingle.
Okay. Is that supposed to happen?
Go. And as he pulls his hands away, your arm is as good as new.
I mean, 1, 2, 3. Yep. They're all there. I mean, it's I think it's shorter than the other one. No, maybe I'm just holding it wrong. I think my shoulders are a little out of whack after holding it up against myself for a while. Maybe I need to kind of, I haven't lifted anything with this
A good
arm
night's
for so
sleep
long.
and you'll be right as rain. So, Alaric, as you know, the custom for healings in this temple tends to be financial, in the sense that this is how our church is able to pay its operations and so on. There are material components required for such spells, and so it is not something that is generally done gratis, except in the cases of most urgent need. However, your family has been very generous at this temple over many years, and so I do not see that there is any need for you to make any sort of a financial contribution. However, what I would suggest to you is that you offer some form of thanks to the spirit, to Haraz.
Oh, jeez.
And what you know, Alaric, is that the custom here is that this sort of cauldron of magma-looking thing, the custom is to take something that is meaningful to you and give it to the fire, essentially. And what you choose is up to you, but it is the meaning that you put in it and the sacrifice of it that is what essentially gives the act meaning.
I mean, all right. I don't have a lot. I mean, not a lot on me.
Alaric, this is a purely voluntary sacrifice.
Yeah, I've heard that word before.
Doesn't have to be a lot. It just has to be sincere.
You know what? I know what I'm going to do.
I hope this doesn't involve any books.
No, they ain't mine to give. Hold up my hand. The small light hammer I've used for 4 years to defend myself appears in it. And I go over to the cauldron. Do I have to say anything?
I imagine the words are in your heart, and you will imbue that meaning into the item. You know what it means, and the spirits, Haraz, can glean that from the item.
Right. In front of the cauldron. Haraz, this is Alaric Copperbeard. You may know my family. I was stuck for a long time. And one of the symptoms of being stuck is having to make do with what you've got. And even if it's not everything you have, you give it. These people help me, and I'm going to help them. That's how I can repay them. But this hammer, this thing became my second arm when I couldn't use mine. Not everything I did with it worked. Not every trick I pulled was successful. I couldn't help everybody. But you've given back my other arm. So I'll give you this one. As a token of thanks, sign a renewal, and maybe closing a chapter. And I throw the hammer into the cauldron.
All right. As it because this magma is so thick, it doesn't just splash in like it was water. It sort of lands first on the surface and then gradually, slowly begins to sink, with the metal starting to glow as it sinks beneath the surface, and then it closes over. And then the whole room seems to just rumble just a little bit.
Is that supposed to happen? Did I do it wrong?
The priest is just kind of nodding. You did fine. You did well.
I think I understand why maybe you wanted him to pursue a different path. You're very good with words, despite what you think, Alaric.
I just say them. They're there. I don't know what they mean half the time. It feels like, but felt right.
So, Alaric, did I understand correctly that you intend to travel with your friends, to become an adventurer in your own right?
Well, I mean, I spent the last 100 years or so chasing after stuff my dad could use, and he's on his own rights now. And these folks have something important to do. So I guess that makes me an adventurer. What the hell that is. Doesn't sound like a steady paying job is all I know.
Well, neither is spending 3 years in a mine, so.
I mean, technically it paid. Just long pay.
Alaric, if it is your intent to travel the wider world, I would ask of you a very simple service in the name of Haraz and your people. This is not a burden for you, but simply an act of goodwill, if you are willing.
Simple service sounds simple.
And the priest here takes these wizened old wrinkly hands, and he moves around to stand behind this cauldron, and he kind of concentrates for a moment, and his hands start to glow, and then he reaches them into the molten magma.
Geez, are you all right?
And when he pulls them back out, he's holding 4 small stones that look smooth, almost like river stones, but they're glossy and black. And he holds them and says, "Careful, they're hot."
I'll extend my hands, one hand, and then realizing I have the other one, extending that one too.
And as he hands them to you, you find that they are actually just they're warm, like they've been, you know, sitting near the stove, but not so hot that they burn. And the priest says, in your travels, when you encounter other spirits of the land, of various works, spirits of note, these are gifts of goodwill from Haraz to pass on and show respect to the other spirits of this world. Do not leave them where they are not welcome. But where you may travel, you can carry Haraz's goodwill with you.
I thought you said this was simple. How do I know who to give these to? And I mean, how do I know if they don't want them? And what if I give them the wrong whatever?
Well, I think you have some. you have people around that I think might be able to help.
Oh yeah, I do, don't I? All right.
There are no rules assigned to this service. Just take them where you feel they would do good.
All right, I can carry some stones. That part's easy. Thanks, Father. Thanks, Haraz. Looking around, kind of like there's nowhere to focus my attention. Wherever
the room rumbles again a little bit.
Maybe we should go.
Father Igneous just chuckles.
Maybe you're the one to know as well. I told my father about this and a couple of others, the lieutenant on the wagon train. But the spirit that was in the mine, the fire spirit, it's probably not very happy. I told everybody they should probably feed it, and we fed it a bit, but it seems to have a big appetite. Get used to feeding high off the hog, and we didn't have any hogs. Does that make any sense? Anyway, you should probably send someone to do something about that. Maybe one of these stones or something.
We will.
All right. Well, we got to go because there's some feast and bath and probably a lot of beer.
Yeah.
Alaric.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're all right.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm pretty glad of it myself, actually. Thanks, Father Igneous and Haraz, wherever you are.
The room rumbles again a little bit, and the priest says, "Oh, he's frisky today."
I think there's some. Yep. I can really hear. Yeah. I think somebody's calling my name. Let's go.
I'll try to find time to come back and see you again, Father Igneous.
It would be my pleasure to discuss matters of cleric business and spiritual connection with you at any time you are available.
That sounds like fun.
All right.
Look from Lyric. No.
Not really to her either.
Okay, so yeah, you guys make your way back out of the temple, and it does occur to you just briefly looking back that this sort of gaping opening of stalactites and stalagmites maybe resembles a mouth just a little bit.
No, I noticed that when I was 6.
That's not disconcerting.
No. Not at all.
All right, so you've made your way back out into this common area. Your arm is healed.
Kind of swinging the arm. It's like,
Mm.
I don't even know how to stand this thing anymore. I draw out the two-handed warhammer, the one with the Copperbeard logo on it. Just give it a few trial swings. Probably pulls out his shoulder a bit because it hasn't really moved much for 4 years.
Yeah. It definitely feels a little unfamiliar, but each swing kind of, it's like, yeah, you're anxious to get the rust off, so to speak.
Yeah. Also, I can kind of scrub now between where my arm and my body was. That part's getting a little raw.
All right. So, here's a question for you guys. Where has CK been during all this?
Oh, did we leave him on the train?
Well, that's what I'm asking because we kind of didn't really address the question. So
I don't know if he was
retroactively,
following us
what are we?
around or...
Wasn't he there during the discussion with his father, Alaric's father, Yagthor? Because he was giving him funny looks over that book.
I think that actually, if I recall correctly, we did not have CK participating in that conversation. Because the last discussion with CK was specifically where you discovered the identity of what had happened with Denholm and the foreman and so on. Mm-hmm. And then you rescued him and brought him out, but I don't think that he really participated much after that. We could say that you slipped him into the bag of holding, if that's what you guys would like.
That makes sense.
It's getting crowded in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something just occurred to me that is sort of a traditional rule for how some of that stuff works that I'm not going to enforce here because
I've done that to my players.
But yeah, so we can say that, or I don't know if you guys would have wanted to just maybe you found a box for him to hide in or something like that. So you guys tell me what you would have done.
Bag of holding is perfect. I think that's perfect.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we really had any other place to put him at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were just kind of, I think, when I bamped to the top to the train platform, I think Alaric was holding on to him. Or no.
Yeah.
Oh, who else we forgot? Where's our halfling friend?
Yeah.
She's just been following around quiet.
She's really just a stealthy kind of rogue type.
Yeah.
Also berserker.
Well, she actually does she kind of pipes up, was like, what are we doing next? I hope it's more interesting than spirit stuff.
Drinking.
Oh, that's good. I like that. So you guys know, as I mentioned, that right now it's somewhat like midday, maybe. And you know that there's supposed to be this feast for dinner, but obviously you guys are kind of at your leisure until then. And you can occupy that time however you would like. Although, if you are thinking about drinking, Alaric would know that a typical feature of the feasts includes drinking contests. And so if you're interested in participating, you might want to not pregame too much.
So weren't we going to return CK to the gnomes? He was their property.
Yeah.
So we can go knock that out.
Right. So you do have CK and then the primary blueprints and manual for the golem separate from the rest of CK's documents. But with CK expecting and you guys to fulfill your promise, which was that all of that stuff goes back to the gnomes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't see a reason not to do that.
I can give him a bit of a tour on the way, from what I remember.
Yes, let's go see all the dwarf things. Nero likes learning stuff, so.
Yeah.
Is there a library? Let's go see the library.
Well, so
he probably wrote some stuff down at some point. I don't know.
You know, Alaric, that dwarves tend to not be big in like, it's not that they can't read or write, because they definitely can, but they tend to be much more focused on, sort of really specific nonfiction, of, like how to mine properly and good stone carving techniques and that
And
sort of thing. There's some-
genealogy?
yeah, history and that sort of thing. But at the same time, compared even to humans, it's really considered more just like a resource than something anybody does for fun. And so there's not like a big fancy library in the same way. It's not like a celebration. It's more like just like a commodity.
They're kind of practical that way.
Mhm.
Not like you elves. I know. I've been in some of the elven towns. It's weird.
Yeah. The arts for dwarves tend to towards the extremes, in the sense of it's either something that is really like permanent, like a statue or a metal sculpture that's going to be really enduring, or it's something that's completely the other side of the spectrum, like very ephemeral, like live music and that sort of thing that is not preserved at all. And there tends to not be as much in the middle.
So most of the architecture is kind of square and very solid, and some of it outdates most of us.
But it's so different than what we see in other places. It's fascinating.
I mean, I've kind of gotten used to it, but I can see your point.
All right. So, as much fun as it would be probably for me to just continue to make up things for you guys to go see on this tour, do you guys actually have an agenda in mind, or what's the plan? Because if we want, you can just you can put me to the test in terms of inventing stuff on the fly for you to just wander around this dwarf city if you want.
No.
I think we need to do the gnome thing, and then I don't know. He could probably use a bath.
We feast.
We could all probably use baths at this point.
Mm-hmm.
True.
All right. So, do you want to go to the gnomes now then?
I vote yes.
Yeah.
Probably a good idea.
All right. So, Alaric, some of what you know about gnomes is probably something that you wouldn't necessarily expect outsiders to understand about gnomes, which is that numerically there are far fewer of them than there are dwarves, even though you live kind of alongside one another. But dwarves or gnomes are kind of superstitiously considered to be almost like a midway point between mortals and spirits. As far as you know, they're mortal creatures, but they have they're in tune with spirits in a way that that most other races aren't. And so there's generally kind of a superstition enforced by not so much law as much as culture, that gnomes get to go where they want and do what they want. And by and large, they don't abuse that. But so the rest of you might recall how when that gnome came up to give Mugen his cable gun, even though you guys were being escorted at that point by angry guards, they basically let this gnome just walk up and do all that stuff with you and did not interfere. So, Alaric, what you know about gnomes is that there is a place where they can kind of congregate if you're not necessarily going for a specific gnome. But by and large, you kind of just find them around and they kind of just do what they want.
Did Denholm have I don't know, an apprentice or family that we could pass his things to?
He didn't have an apprentice, but he did have a brother that he generally didn't get along with, but it was not like a lack of respect. It was more just like they just bicker whenever they see each other.
Did he have a mentor too?
Long dead.
All right, I'll take you to where the gnomes tend to be. We'll find them where we find them. You're going to see a lot of things that they're working on. Don't even try to understand them. I mean, maybe you could. I know the Otterkey took a good look at CK, and you seem to have some idea. And maybe you're more clever than I am. But, well, let's put it this way. Dwarves are stone. We were birthed as stone. We'll die as stone. We build and we love stone. Dwarves are blunt, but we're strong. Gnomes are more delicate, more finesse. They can do things that I can't even figure out how to get my fingers around. Denholm was brilliant. You saw the things he made, and while it went wrong, he still made it. It was incredible. And CK too is, well, I don't even know what he is, but you can see how clever they are.
Well, maybe we should ask CK who in particular should get all of Denholm's information.
He may not know, but it's worth asking him.
Miss
And you seem to
Amethyst.
just really want to spread it to the world.
Maybe we should go find the gnomes first and then take him out and let him pick.
Maybe. I'm just saying,
I think we
These
should
are-
try to find his brother. I mean,
yeah, it's a start.
he built it. It's his property.
I mean, they didn't really get along, but I'm sure that he'll see things differently.
What if we could
Especially
sell
knowing
it?
that his brother actually succeeded. Wait, that might actually make him angrier. Okay, we can find him, and Alaric is looking nervous, and okay,
Maybe we can just sell it.
no,
I
No,
don't think that's a good idea, no.
that won't work. Besides the fact that it's Denholm stuff, if they find out you've sold it, I don't think anything good would come of that. No, just
Probably didn't know it existed.
they'll figure it out. If they saw it out there, they'd know that a gnome created it.
All right.
Just when you're
Well-
talking to them, just try not to. I mean, just be nice, because
It might not be the smartest decision to bring CK out amongst a crowd of gnomes. I mean, I don't want to get mobbed.
there's also that woman you said earlier, the one that gave Mugen the gadget.
Oh, that was right at that was before we even came to the Copperbeard territory. That's
If we're just going to find a random gnome, we might as well let him out and just let him go on his way.
I think he'll be particular about who he chooses, but at the same time, I don't think he would appreciate a mob of gnomes descending on him.
Is there any reason we shouldn't seek the brother?
It's a
They
start.
didn't get along, but
Do you have any reason we shouldn't seek out the brother?
well, my only thought is that if CK knew, for whatever reasons, that Denholm didn't get along with his brother, that might prevent him from giving the knowledge, which is what he wants. So, I don't know. There's got to be somebody.
Oh, we can give
Isn't
him
there
a
like
heads
some kind
up
of
that-
like collective of like stored knowledge, or I don't know how do gnomes work?
Ooh, let's take it back to the library.
As for how gnomes work, nobody knows. But his brother would want to know that Denholm was not.
Take it back to the library and
That's actually a really good idea.
Yeah.
There's a grand library in Villanocta that I
Run
mean,
by
it's
gnomes?
it's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
It's protected by a spirit of knowledge.
Right.
And if
Spirit.
CK wants this knowledge to be shared and stored, and I think that's the best place.
Unless he wants it to stay in the mines. I don't know.
He
Maybe
didn't
we should
care.
just
He
ask
just
him.
wants it to spread.
I suppose.
He's pretty stupid. He's pretty obsessed. He just wants to spread it. We'll take him to the library.
He was pretty protective of the knowledge. He didn't want to just give it to anybody.
Right.
We'll take the library.
I still think we should tell Denholm's brother about his passing. Let
Yeah,
him
if
know
nothing
he
else,
actually
let's do that.
succeed.
Yeah.
Well,
Alright.
let's at least go do that. Maybe we'll make a different call when we get there.
Okay. So you make your way. You happen to know that Denholm's brother was named Fredholm. So you I would imagine are going to the where you more often see, congregations and places where the gnomes live, which is generally you notice them because it's really just like seeing right along the same cavern wall that would have, the homes or businesses of other dwarves. You just see half scale places right in between, in the middle, or sometimes set up right in the center of someone else's home or shop. We'll just have the living room, the half-size living room of a gnome right in somebody else's living room occasionally, or
So
just
no,
wherever they set up shop.
Holmes Gnomes Estates.
Yeah. So I would imagine if you just ask for by name, you get a couple of pointed fingers in directing you where to go, and you actually end up going down 2 levels from your current area. So you're descending further down to a couple of levels down there. You pass through the various tunnels, and you notice actually as you're getting closer to where there's more gnomes, you're definitely seeing more in the streets, and you're the quality of the sounds you hear changes. Instead of hearing more sort of business transactions and general low conversations and the air moving and equipment and smiths and that sort of thing, you're hearing a lot more strange sounds down here, like lots of metal clanks and tinkering sounds and the occasional explosion. Generally small, but they happen.
Alex seems to be getting happier and almost skipping as you get closer to this.
And so you do find you find a little shingle sign hanging out into the hallway above a door that is just 3 feet tall. That says Fred Holmes Gizmos.
All right, this is probably it. I'm going to knock respectively on the door. Hello?
We don't want any.
Really? It's really good.
I don't blame him.
All right, that didn't work.
You hear a sort of a grumbling approach, and then the door flings open, and a gnome that you can see the family resemblance to Denholm. He is not old for a gnome, but he's no spring gnome chicken either. He's got kind of graying hair. He's balding, just got the little tufts of hair on the sides of his head, and he's only about 2.5 feet tall. So this 3 foot high door is just the right thing. He's wearing like a leather smock, and you see all of his fingers have little bandages on them. And he says, "What?"
Sorry to bother you. You're Fredholm, right?
That's what it says on the sign.
Somebody else could have answered the door. I'm glad it's you. I wish I had better news.
What?
Your brother, Denholm. He drops to one knee. I'm sorry. There was an accident in the work that he was doing. Some stupid clerk got his nose in the wrong place and screwed it all up. And
This news is 3 years old. I know he was dead.
Oh, you knew that.
Maybe you should introduce yourself.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Stand up, kind of brush off the knee. My name is Alaric Copperbeard. I knew Denholm. I knew him well. He was a genius.
He does raise an eyebrow at the mention of your name and just says, "Wait, you were supposed to be in the mine too."
I was trapped there.
But
for
you're
4
not
years.
dead.
No, I managed to survive.
Are you sure?
Well, now you mention it,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
but I didn't question that part.
He's alive.
He takes out of his pocket some extremely thick lensed spectacles, leans really close, and then just like pokes you on the shoulder. All right, then.
I mean, I'm new to that shoulder. I just got that fixed. But yeah, I'm alive.
So, wait, but Denholmes is still dead? Denholm is dead?
Denholm is, yeah. Some stupid clerk got in his mind that he could try to improve something of Denholm's, and it went badly.
Clerks.
Yeah, well.
All right, well, come on in then. And he just kind of turns around and leaves the door open, wanders back into his workshop.
All right. Kind of bend down a little bit, get through the door.
Are the rest of you following?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so you see you kind of are crawling, and I would imagine most of you, as you're in sort of a little sled dog chain, you see whoever is in front of you, you see their butt. You crawl into this little place that is just this little sort of hidey hole. Oh no, we lost Starla. Hopefully we'll get her back soon. Get this little half-sized, proportional home that is it's not filthy in terms of like dirt or that sort of thing. It's just cluttered. Every horizontal surface is just covered with what look like little watch parts and gears and springs and little miscellaneous mechanical pieces and tools, and there's no organizational system at all that you can tell. But he wanders over to a little workbench and sits on a stool and immediately starts tinkering again with a little thing and just says, "So you came all this way to tell me that my brother that I thought was dead is dead. So,
well, I mean,
that it?
No, I mean, I didn't realize you knew.
Well, what I thought had happened is that everyone down in the mine was dead. So now I discover not everyone in the mine was dead, just him.
Well, no, everybody else is gone too. I was the only one who survived.
He gets up off his stool and he walks over and he pokes you again.
Still,
all right,
still
then.
alive. Yeah. These folks helped me to get out. Then
He looks at the rest of you and says, "I'd offer you tea, except I used it all."
Makes sense.
Okay.
So Denholm made something that was in the mine.
He was working on that steam golem. It was ridiculous. I told him it was too big. Got to make small gizmos. That's the way of the future. Small.
They worked really, really well.
It did.
Well, of course it worked. I mean,
except for the clerk who screwed up the directions.
Clerks.
Yeah. So it's still there in the mine. I'm assuming they're going to try to restart it or something. But
well, that seems foolish. I mean, he was a golem, right?
What? Sorry.
He was making a golem. I mean, you don't just restart those, unless it. Well, what was it? What happened to it? Was it all together? Was it broken? Was it deactivated? What happened to it? You say they were going to restart it. What do you mean?
Well, it went cold. We pulled out its
Instructions.
Oh, well, see,
Yeah.
there's your problem. I mean, it's not going to get restarted unless you have someone who's capable of at least a 5th level tinkering spell.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I figured that maybe you might know more about these things, being as how you're Denholm's brother, and I'm sure. Well, as you said, you talked about it, and you might know how these things work. And well, I don't think that I didn't think that. Well, I didn't want clerks to get a hold of the plans and make more of these things and make more of the same mistakes.
That was good thinking. So, what did you do with the plans? Did you burn them?
Should I burn them?
Well, no, not unless you want to.
I pull them out of my backpack.
Oh, good. And he just goes to just grab them away from you.
I gave them over.
And he literally just tosses it on a pile over his shoulder and says, "Yeah, all right. Is there anything else?"
I mean, you don't even. I mean, do you want to look at them? I mean, the thing worked. It was
Are you?
brilliant.
What is your goal here? Like, when you bring these plans to me, what are you looking for me to do? Because you seem dissatisfied with my response.
I knew
And I'm
your
not
brother.
always good with that sort of thing. So tell me, what is it that you're wanting from me right now?
I mean, I knew your brother. I knew Denholm, and I respected him a lot. I liked what he built, even if it went wrong. I figured that to honor him, the plan should go to someone who could understand them and maybe correct whatever mistakes or limit what the fool clerk did.
His mistake was it was too big. Tiny, small gizmos are the future.
Well, I mean, he made a small gizmo too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, kind of glancing over at Otterkey for guidance at this moment because he was the one who specified he was kind of more eager to keep that.
He had created an automaton that I guess was sort of an assistant, and it is also a file system for all of his plans. So we don't really know what all he designed, but this
You mean he did it?
gizmo.
He made the library automaton. It worked.
Yeah.
I guess that's what you call it. Yeah.
I think
Where is it? Where is it? Do you have it?
I think we found his place, Archie.
I'll step back away from Otterkey just to give if he does bring it out a lot of room.
Doesn't Amethyst have it?
Yeah, it's in
Oh,
the
wait.
bag of holding.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're muted. I think, or we're not hearing you. For some reason, the mute wasn't showing up on you, but
Sorry.
that's all right.
No, I had it on my neck because I didn't want the big on mine. So I just hand the bag of holding to Archie since he's handling this so well.
Each den and flat CK.
Yeah, so Fred Holm here is interested in CK in a way that he was clearly not with the rest of the plans, but he's immediately fawning all over it, and CK is kind of like, oh my goodness, oh, look at that, oh,
Hey,
watch
CK,
out.
singing.
That leg's new.
This is Denholm's brother.
Fred Holm.
Fred Holm.
Fred Holm reaches out a hand like he's going to shake hands with the little eye stalk, but CK kind of takes a step back. Says, "Oh, you brought me to, this is CK. You brought me to Denholm's brother. So that the plans. Do you have the book and the blueprints that you wouldn't give back to me for reasons that are still not entirely clear to me?"
Of course we do.
Yeah, they're over there on the pile.
And CK says, "Oh, look! Oh my goodness! Look how messy this place is!" And he immediately just starts like every book and scroll he can find is just going into his little cabinet. And Fred Holm is just walking around going, "I can't believe he did it! This is amazing."
It was pretty cool. The leg, that one is kind of repaired. It's not.
Yeah, I was thinking that didn't look like Denholm's design.
Yeah, it was a brush job just to get him out of there.
He did a good job at it.
So who did it?
I did.
And then he walks right up to you, and so you're still on all fours in here because the ceiling is literally only maybe 3.5 feet tall. But so he just walks right up and he's just eye to eye with you standing, and he just puts his glasses on and leans way in again and says, "You did all right." And then he goes back and he's wandering over and he's studying. It's like, so he really managed to contain the portable space. And then he kind of looks around. He's like, "And you guys had it in a bag of holding? Boy, are you lucky that Denholm had designed that anti-interference charm, because usually when you take an extra dimensional space and you put it inside another extra dimensional space, they blow up."
Oh.
Good thing that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So we won't
Good
do
thing
that.
that didn't happen.
Yeah. Oops.
That's how you learn.
And so he's kind of fascinated by this, but at some point he does kind of sort of straighten up and kind of say, "You guys might not understand how it works with gnomes. Like, you're expecting me to be sad, and I'm sad, but like, I thought my brother was dead 3 years ago, and so he's still dead now. I was sad already. Now you've just brought me some of his stuff, which I didn't have before, so that's a happy thing."
I figure he lives on through the stuff that he's made.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought a little closure, At least you know for sure.
Well, thank you for bringing me this stuff. I don't care about that gigantic monstrosity of whatever he built. But this thing, and he's just following CK around, who is still kind of walking with his short step, long step, short step, long step, scooping up all the different pieces of writing and documents in the room. It's just this thing is a marvel.
Aww.
It's pretty cool. Look, they're going to probably ask about the bigger one, and I want to make sure that people use it if they're going to for good things. I think it'd be really dangerous.
He does kind of stop and look at you at that point and just say, "Yeah, well, you can't not build things just because they might get misused. That's kind of like saying you can't have babies because they might turn out to be bad guys."
He does have a point.
I mean,
Just like you shouldn't ban all magic because some magic is used for bad purposes.
okay, but you can still tell people not to use it for bad purposes. And try
Right.
to get them from doing that.
Well, yeah, but in your experience, like, how well does that work? Like, "Hey, you, don't use that thing for bad purposes." And they say, "Oh, I promise I won't." And then it works every time, right?
Just don't let
evil's already at the core. There's nothing that'll change it.
I think what he means is if maybe someone were to come along and ask you for it, use some discretion when considering who to hand it over to. That's all.
Yeah, that sounds better. I mean, Denholm created it, and it is amazing, but it also caused 4 years of terror, and it killed a lot of people. And I don't think that's what he had in mind.
No, that doesn't sound like him.
No. It worked. And I want people to know that it worked. But I don't want people to go building it for that reason. Can I trust you with it?
Yes. they come and they want it, they're going to have to explain why they need it. And hopefully they will keep it out of the hands of clerks.
Yeah.
Clerks.
Yeah. Maybe we need to pay those clerks more or make sure they don't have time alone.
See, now, if they really wanted something special, they would come to me for my invention. And he runs over back to the workshop and says, I'm building a thing that lets you see straight through stone so you know exactly where to mine things. You don't have to just dig through and hope you find something. You'll know right where it is.
Wow.
That's amazing.
All
Changed
gizmos
everything.
are the future.
Can I try it?
Once it works. It doesn't
No.
work yet. It will, though.
I believe you.
He kind of sets it back down on the workshop bench and just he's quiet for a minute.
I
get you guys tea, but I used it already.
Do you like tea?
Well, it's useful.
I'll remember that. I'll get you some tea. Might be a little while.
Well, hopefully, some of the knowledge that CK has can help you with to perfect your own invention there.
And he kind of looks at the rest of you again and just says, I don't know why you guys are here.
We just brought this to you. I wanted to...
He looks at you kind of with a, I'm not dumb look. He's like, no. You explained all that. You were down in the mine. They rescued you. You brought the stuff. But he looks at the rest of you and says, well, why were you here?
We had business.
All right. He starts tinkering with his little invention again.
Well, I think we have a party to get to tonight, don't we? And I think we could all use, a little, maybe clean up a little bit. I mean, Fred has a lot to do.
When you say that, you actually hear Fred Holmes go, yeah.
Nice.
I wasn't going to say anything, but
it's been a long 4 years. So, look, thanks. Your brother was brilliant. I mean, and I know that with the stuff that he's got and the stuff you're going to make, it'll be brilliant too. Just make sure he gets honored.
Yeah, he was brilliant. He was.
I'm going to go over to CK cautiously, hands out very calmly. We didn't exactly get on the right foot.
CK looks down at his right leg, which is the one from the robot leg.
The lizard tails all over again.
I'm sorry. Denholm was my friend, and I was rash. You'll be fine here with Fred home.
Yes. Thank you for bringing me here. I know we didn't get along, but this is what Denholm would have wanted.
I hope so. Yeah. Take care of yourself, CK. And you too, Fred home. I need to go. And I crawl out through the door.
See you, little buddy.
He's utterly absorbed in his tinkering again.
How's that for closure?
I think it's all right.
Right on.
Now, I think I still have some pull around here. I can probably get you a room for the night, some fresh water.
You guys would all have rooms in the the main Copperbeard estate, where you could get ready.
Yeah, I need to change of clothes. These ones are all torn.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys are just returning to that estate and kind of getting ready, I'll say unless there's anything else you want to do in advance, we'll just go ahead and advance the clock until it's time for the celebration.
Is that going to count as a long rest or a short rest? Because
I'll-
I'm still down a whole bunch of hit points.
Yeah, no
Okay.
spells, no wild shape, no hit points, unless somebody healed.
You know what? I'll just go ahead and say, yeah, you guys. You know what? You have time to do a short rest for sure before the party, but not quite a long rest.
All right.
Cool.
So roll some hit dice.
Are you why are you down though? I mean,
Well,
We
we
haven't
haven't
rested.
rested since we left the mine.
Yeah, since we fought Denholm
I
or
thought
whatever.
we did a long
No,
rest
we
before
did.
Yeah.
we exited.
you did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was the
You
next
did a long
morning.
rest before you came out and
Remember
called the
that.
train. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah, we
right.
had a little bit of a somber feast because it was the day after that Mugen had gone.
Yeah.
The next day we left.
All right.
Yep.
I guess you're right. Weird.
Yeah. So you guys are good then. So I would say you don't need to do any new rest. You haven't really fought anything since then. But
Rested, just stinky.
as time passes, though, as there is more and more activity in this estate, and you get the feeling that part of what's going on here is that the first group of people who went and whoops, I just realized I'm screwing up the windows by looking at that thing. So apparently the first group of guards who were sent to go explore and figure out what the deal was going on at the mine have had time to get there and report back, and everybody's really excited now.
Oh, now they're excited.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
before it
They
was
found the vault.
unconfirmed. All they knew is that you were apparently alive, which was something. But now it's like, oh, this dark cloud, so metaphorical dark cloud that had been hovering over this entire clan for years is apparently now lifted, because not only are you back, but it's also like, oh my God, there's a whole vault full of platinum
The rich
down there.
biatch.
Yeah. And so there is definitely a jovial atmosphere in the whole place, and that's also on top of just everybody's getting ready to have a feast celebrating that. And so it's all good, happy stuff. And so by the time you reach this big banquet hall, there's a giant fireplace with a roaring fire in it, in a stonework carved chimney with the Copperbeard insignia in it to carry the smoke away, and a long banquet table carved out of marble, and there's all sorts of great stuff to eat. There's a lot of fungus-based stuff, just because that's what grows down here. But they have like wild boar, and they have various imported surface delicacies, like root vegetables and fruit and stuff like that. And of course, lots and lots of ale and various activities. And they don't seem to stand much on like the ceremony of it. It's more like everybody knows what they have come here to do, and it's not to listen to speeches.
Leonard could be dressed in
My
some of his
crowd.
old finery that he probably hasn't worn in more than 4 years. Doesn't quite fit as well as it used to either.
Probably all baggy and stuff.
Some of it's baggy, some of it's more tight, actually. He lost some weight and gained some muscle.
All that running.
Yeah.
All right, so
Let's drink.
On point.
So because there is the various little sort of stations that they've got some like party games that are kind of set up here. So there's definitely people who are setting up for a type of drinking game. And then there's also a sort of there's a minecart tug of war setup where they have a minecart but no track, and you have two teams that each try to pull the minecart to themselves, and you get the prize that's in it. And then there's also going to later be rapid fire songwriting and rapid fire stone carving contests.
Oh.
And so any of those that you guys want to participate in, you should make time to go over to those little stations.
I am not a bard.
And
And I am not like renowned for my strength. Nor can I carve anything, so I'm just gonna sit and drink.
The tug of war thing is a team competition.
Okay.
Come on, team.
How's your arm there, Alaric?
It needs a little test.
Sure, let's give it a shot then.
I mean, I could anchor as a panda.
Oh.
Yes.
A little heavier than a tiefling, no offense. Better anchor.
All right,
That'll give us something to talk about.
Right? That's what we're all about.
So apparently, there's definitely been some recovery of the initial loot from this vault, because you see that they have made the prize for each round of this sort of competition is a quarter bar of platinum, and you definitely recognize it as it must have been taken from the vault there, but it's been divided up just because maybe a whole platinum bar is more than you give away for prize for one round of a party game.
Maybe.
But at the same time, it's
how much was the platinum bar worth? 500 gold? Is that what you said?
I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just forgot to write it down. So.
Yeah. So you guys are matched up against a team of four dwarves. Two of them are lesser nobles, meaning they're not necessarily like warriors for a living, but dwarves are kind of like they grow up learning how to swing a warhammer. It's not like these dwarves are wimpy. So a couple, and then two of them are guards, including one of them is actually the guard that challenged you to an arm wrestle on the train, Archie. And so they see that you're coming up to do it, and they're kind of laughing amongst themselves and say, "You guys have done some great stuff down in that mine, apparently, but no way you're beating us at our own game." Not even with that one to help you out.
Who says it's your game? Let's go, buddy.
All right.
Dang, it got serious quick.
So you guys are basically all going to roll an athletics, and Amethyst, if you are actually going to switch to a bear, at level 6, you actually get to use polar bear stats now, not brown bear stats.
So excited.
Nice.
So we're going to do an athletics roll, which is, if you don't have athletics, it's just strength, and it's against their group athletics check.
13.
Okay.
Let's see if these dice do any better for me today.
Ooh, 18 plus. 25.
Nice.
All right. Ooh, 25. Nice.
I got a 19.
19.
18, and I can't for some reason find my stats for the bear shape.
I will
Looking for it.
pull it up here in just a second for you.
Bummer, I was excited.
That's all right. Polar bear's pretty strong, though, I believe.
Yeah.
Polar bear has a strength of 20, so that's a +5.
Wow.
Sweet. So that's 23.
23. All right. So these four dwarves. One of them rolled a 2.
Oof.
And that was
2, 8,
one-handed.
6.
What if I use
So
both
these
of
are
them?
without modifiers: 2, 8, 16, and 4. Yeah, you guys just dominate. And I think as soon as Amethyst turns into this, are you still panda flavored?
I think I'm ice bear.
Okay, you turn into a polar bear. All of a sudden, as soon as you in the anchor position, when they see you going there initially, they're like, "Well, that's a weird strategy." But then you turn into a polar bear, and I think their eyes kind of go wide, and they're like, "Oh, wait, no." And in fact, actually, one of them looks to you, Alaric, and just goes. Like, he gives you like a nod of respect. Like, clearly you guys brought the ringer here and we had no idea. We just got jammed. You guys pull them off their feet. Whoa! They fall on their faces and the minecart rolls over to you guys.
Sweet.
I go over, and that one who specifically called me out, I offer him my left hand to help up.
Aw, such a good guy.
You did well.
Well, we didn't know you guys had a polar bear.
Never
Would a dwarf
underestimate
know
the
what a
other
polar
side.
bear is?
He's heard stories. They live in the mountains.
Ice bear's proud.
Is Amethyst staying as a bear?
Are we gonna go again?
Fun. It's pretty fun. Let's see what else. What else do we need for the next game?
You find that after doing that for the first round, nobody else wants to challenge you at that.
I knew we should have made a side bet.
Cowards.
Somewhat awkwardly, but
Make it interesting.
also
Yeah.
a bear. Alaric will go over and sort of try to figure out whether it's a hug or a scritch behind the ears, which is appropriate at this particular moment.
Slap on the back. Good job.
Oh, a scritch is always welcome behind the ear in bear form. Yeah, let's go. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
All right.
This
So
is kind of weird, but I'm really proud of you.
Yay.
So you also note that the drinking game they've got here is not strictly speaking just a drinking contest. It's combined with a very the idea is not just to be able to drink, which is important, but you have to be able to hold your liquor by still being able to do things well. So what the goal is that you have to drink, and then you have just a simple mining pick. And you're supposed to basically drink, toss it up in the air, and then catch it by the handle again. And then drink, and then do that again. And so that's the idea here, is that it's, the first person to drop the mining pick.
So I'm not doing this.
loses.
Could thaumaturgy be used to
Oh. Here we go.
make people think that they've seen somebody catch the pick?
Thaumaturgy doesn't. That's
No?
not like that would be more
thought.
like minor illusion or something like that.
Yeah.
Thought I'd give it a shot.
Thaumaturgy does almost
I get it.
everything.
It's a pick.
But it can
and that
be
would have
used to
be
distract
minor
people trying to
illusion.
catch a pig.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
honey.
Well,
We're done.
Archie, if you want to give it a go, I've got it as a cantrip too. So
I'm not playing with no axes. I like my paws. Keeping them.
It's been a long time since I've had that much alcohol. I may not be able to hold up the pick all that well,
Yeah.
but
There is
Otterkin, you
plenty
can
of
do this.
ale just for drinking if you guys are not interested in the competition. And then also, like as I mentioned, they have brought out these small blocks of kind of soft stone that is with little chisels. And the idea is that people who are interested in putting their skills to the test will be given a subject that they have to try to carve within a 1 minute period, and then it'll be judged basically who did their best version of that right away. And then there's also
a Minecraft building contest.
there's also a songwriting contest where you just have to come up with just like a couplet on command on the subject, the subject in question. And in the sense that you guys, you can use a performance role instead of having to actually write the song if you like. However, let me just say, I will grant you inspiration if you actually do
it.
Oh.
Can you define couplet? Is that just like four
like
lines?
just
of
a two lines that rhyme.
Oh, 2 lines that rhyme.
Yeah.
I definitely want to do the
Kind of like
I
the
wanna-
couplet, 2 lines
Yeah.
that rhyme.
Yeah.
only Christiana. I kind of want to do the carving contest as a bear also in
Yeah. I love that. I love it.
I think it would be fun since we won the last one as polar bear. It feels like the good sportsman thing to do.
All right. So who's doing the anyone doing the drinking contest?
I'll try, but it's been
All
a
right.
long time.
I'll do it.
Okay, as a bear?
As a bear?
Yeah. Yeah. Why not?
All
So
right.
what's the role for that for catching the pig?
It's going to be dexterity
Okay.
or sleight of hand if you have it, but I don't think any of you have. Do you have any of you have sleight of hand? Maybe Alaric does.
No, Mugen
Mugen
does.
was the one that had
Mugen does.
Mugen does, but Mugen's not.
Yeah, right.
His statue will catch it.
Andrew's going to do it.
All right.
Ooh,
So this is the
I'll
pick
cheer him on.
game, which I'm not doing.
Yeah. So basically, the way this is going to work is that you're going to do a Constitution roll to drink, and then based on how well you do with the Constitution roll, you get a plus or a minus modifier to your dexterity throw.
Is that a saving throw?
No, just a check.
Oh, damn.
And Andrea's doing this one too, even though she kind of comes in and just says, I don't think I'm gonna win, but
I've seen
I'm
you
gonna have
fight.
fun losing.
I've seen you fight. That pick doesn't know what's coming.
Oh, sure. Why not? I'll do it too.
There we go. Autarky.
Come on. Team sport. Team sport. No. Team
All
sport.
right. Why not? Why not?
All right.
Cheers.
So, your Constitution
Huzzah.
modifier, incidentally, as a polar bear, Amethyst, your Constitution is +3.
Okay.
So when you do that roll, you're +3, but your dexterity is no modifier, so that's +0 as a polar bear. So when you're doing that one,
You kind of have to catch it with your mouth, I think.
yeah. Well, I'll say that you can kind of be doing it in your paws.
Yeah, I was trying to remember because I picked the panda bear because they have opposable thumbs. I don't know if the polar bear does. I may have messed up.
Well, but you can.
Yeah, I'll figure it
You
out.
have a dexterity of 10, which is +0 for modifier, and so I'll say you can just make that check with that.
Ah, sweet.
All right. So first, they pour out basically a whole pint of ale that you're supposed to chug.
Bottoms up.
Everybody,
All right.
and Amethyst is a polar bear, so
Well, I'm not doing that on camera.
someone pours it for you, and everyone drinks it down. And so everybody make a Constitution check.
19.
8.
What do I get? +1. I get 17.
Ice bear rolled 10.
I'm sorry. You know what? If I could actually just get everyone to say theirs again, I'm just writing it
19.
down. Okay. 19. 18.
17.
Oh,
10.
Ice Bear got 10.
Ice bear got 10.
All right.
as beer.
Andrea got 7. So you see that, like, as she's putting it down, you already see that she has just a moment of like, okay, I'm good.
Maybe we
We've
should
been
have
The
there.
done
dwarven
this smaller mug.
effect.
Yeah.
No judging.
All right. So, basically, Amethyst, you're going to make just the straight up roll. So it's going to be just a D20 for your dexterity. roll to try to flip this pick.
No, man. All right. Oh, shit. 4.
4.
This is why I didn't want to do the pick.
You got your big, bare hands and plunk, lands on your head and falls to the floor. And so, unfortunately, Amethyst is eliminated. Andre is.
I hope somebody laughed, for God's sake.
Yeah.
Nobody laughed.
The guards that
I
would
laughed.
be in the tug of war are laughing.
I can handle that. I'm good with that.
Andrea's going next. She rolled low enough for her constitution check that she's getting a penalty to her dex, but she gets. Oh, so with the penalty, even she gets a 15 because she is a dexterous little halfling.
Mm.
So she is looking a little bit wobbly, but then, ha!
Huzzah!
Yay.
All
Andrew the
right.
Fearless.
He's still in it. All right, Alaric, make
All right.
so with your Constitution roll, you get to add 2 to your whatever your sleight of hand or dexterity check is.
All right. Alley-oop. Okay, that's 19 total.
19. All right. Yep. Capture it.
Huzzah!
Ah,
Nice.
Well
all
done.
right, Archie.
Oh, yeah. Hey-oop. 12.
Unfortunately, almost. Nope. It just flipped, landed a little, came down at an angle. Funny. Oh no. Alas.
This one's faulty.
Did he get a bonus for the Constitution or no?
No.
You know what? Yeah.
I don't know what the cutoff is. So
Yeah. What you got a 14 or 12? What
12.
did you just? Yeah, 12 is still not enough. So sorry. Yeah, you did have a bonus, but it was still not enough.
good try, bud. And,
Mira. So yes, you also
compensation.
have the +2.
well,
to whatever you're
okay. So with the +2, 16.
16, and you catch it.
Yay!
Yay! All right, so
Represent,
Andrea is still in it. Alaric is still in it. Amethyst and Archie have been eliminated. So, time for the second round for another pint for each of you. And this is not weak beer either.
Chug,
so,
chug,
everyone drink.
chug, chug,
And,
chug,
Memory coming back to me
chug.
again.
make another Constitution saving throw, or not saving throw, but just check.
17.
8.
Ouch.
4 years of memories all coming back to me now.
And then
Welcome out, too.
Andrea, she finishes hers. And she
Uh,
looks up, and you haven't seen this look since back when she was fighting the Modrons. But there's just a slightly glassy look to her eyes, but a body language is saying, "All right, let's do this."
Yeah, is she an angry drunk? Like,
Flip that
oh my
pick.
gosh.
It's
Right.
the law.
All right, so now this time, Alaric, you're going to make another roll, but this time it's a -2.
All right.
You got this, buddy.
No problem. One way or the other, this pick is coming down.
watch the arm. We just got that fixed.
Total of 11.
Total of 11.
And that's the wrong angle.
No, tumbles to the ground. Alas.
Ah.
All right. Andrea is going to roll, and she actually is getting a +3 because she got a 21 on her Constitution check.
Wow.
Wow.
She's sturdy.
Yeah. Yep. And she tosses it, and then, ha!
Ah, that's our scout.
All right, Mira, you are getting another +2.
Oh, okay. 16 again.
All right. Yeah, you caught it.
No,
Uh,
no, yeah.
So you rolled a 16 or a 16?
No,
with the plus?
with the plus it's 16 because I rolled
Yeah,
a 12
all right, yeah.
and I have a +2, so yeah.
All right, you caught it.
Ah. Go Mira.
All right. So now
More drinks.
it's just down to Nira and Andre. And so they say, all right, final round. Bring out the big glass.
Oh my.
Oh no.
All right.
And so now the
tomorrow.
glass that they have brought out is looks like it might be like 3 pints worth.
Now we're getting done.
All right.
Yep.
Cheers, Andre.
All right. Andrew's drinking too. It's taking her a little while.
I'm just kind of taking the tankards and standing them up beside Andrea until they're taller than her. It's like, I don't think that fits in there anymore.
All right. Okay. All right.
I just rolled a 20, so
Really?
Yeah. I'm good.
Okay. What's the final result though? With the 20?
Let's see with the Constitution Meyer 23.
23. Okay. Yeah, Andre doesn't look like she's doing quite as good after that last one.
Elves represent.
All right. So you're gonna make another roll and add 3 to your result, Nira.
Roll it 18 plus dexterity, right?
Yeah.
So 20 and 3, 23.
Nice. You just rock solid. Can't touch this. Andre watches you do that. She's wavering a little bit and just says,
She's over there, a little to the left.
I'm really tempted to burn that scroll of restoration.
she tosses it and it's coming down and you think she's going to get it and she gets her arm around it, but then just no. She falls over trying to get it and lands kind of face down and then just kind of stops moving and then you hear a snore.
Nice. Well
So
done.
Nira is the winner. Yay!
Yay.
You won getting to be really drunk. Yay!
It's time for dancing.
Yeah.
Well done.
All right. So next up, we've got the. Is anyone else doing the carving, or just we got just amethyst, or no?
Yeah, I'll do some carving.
I could try. It's not
Team
my
sport, team sport, team sport.
Hey, I threw a pick and I didn't want to because of that chant. Y'all better step up to carve a little something, something.
You survived, yeah.
All right. So the way this is going to work is a little bit similar. That we're going to you're going to use a wisdom roll to determine what the judge is looking for, and then a dexterity roll to see how well you execute your vision. Because it turns out that it's a little bit more than you might have expected. You might have thought that it was just going to be like carve like a person or a minecart or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, the judge surveys all of you and says, carve friendship.
Aww.
Oh, I know what I'm doing.
Oh, man.
I know what I'm doing.
Okay.
So
Well,
first have all of you make a wisdom roll.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I have a
Oh,
+3 to wisdom, and I have a proficiency bonus with that. So
I'm
my
proficient
total
in-
is 20.
I'm proficient in
Yeah,
mason
one.
tools. I'm not sure if that counts.
It will for the other roll, the carving itself roll.
Wisdom.
13 for autography.
Not an insight, eh?
Do I use amethysts or do I use ice bears?
Amethyst
14.
That's like
for
it's not gonna
wisdom.
be good if I have to use the bear.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Wisdom or friendship. What is that even shaped like? 14.
For
right.
wisdom, it's 17. Yeah.
All right.
6. Yeah.
Andrew snores from the floor across the room.
Sorry, Andrew. So proud.
Thanks for the cheer, Andrew.
In fact, actually, now that you look, someone has there's a little sash that says "runner up" on it that they've just tripped over her.
Tried the hardest.
She's got the biggest heart of all of us. Not maybe the biggest stomach, though.
Right. All right.
Pretty.
Okay, so now we're going to do another dexterity. Again, no one has sleight of hand, so it'll be another dexterity. If you have proficiency with stone carving or masonry tools, then you can add that to your roll. And so Amethyst and Nira can add 2 to whatever their roll is also.
Add 2 to the roll. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings my total to 23.
For the dexterity one?
No, for the second one, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I'm kind of mashing away at it.
14.
15.
18.
Ooh.
Ice Bear's dexterous.
All right, and then there are a couple of other dwarves in doing this one with you guys. So let's see.
Yay.
All right. Once again, they kind of you get the sense that there's a little bit of frustration that with some of these dwarves that they're like, and the elf wins again.
I just want to know if they did worse than the polar bear.
Now tell us though. Okay, now I need to know from each of you though. What did you carve for friendship?
I carved Mugen. Jared.
I have an ale tankard for drinking with that. I was actually going to do that one, but I'm changing my answer because she said Mugen. So, so I'm doing an ale tankard because it's easier to carve. Ale is awesome, and drinking with friends. There's no better way to pass the time.
Oh,
Why did I think of that?
hashtag.
You know what? In fact, actually, I'm thinking that like. At first, there was a little bit of people are feeling like the alphas won again, but then they're also kind of recognizing, but wait, no, this is real. You got, you won that fair and square.
I'll drink to that.
You carved an ale tanker. That is awesome, and it's about drinking with friends. And this is okay. You're officially
Respect.
Playing to the crowd here. Playing to the crowd.
All right. Now, is anybody
audience,
interested in this song competition?
Oh Lord!
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Come on.
Do you have to do team sport again?
I was going to be working on that this whole time, and I forgot.
You don't know the subject yet.
Yeah.
So basically, if you want, you can, like I said, just make the performance roll. We're going to have, and that'll just be the result. But if you want to actually come up with something, then I'll give you inspiration.
What's
that inspiration point,
right.
but I don't think that passed on my feet.
What's the topic?
All right. So the judge comes in to announce the topic, and the topic is darkness.
I'm doing a performance roll.
Yeah, I'm doing a performance roll.
Well, just to be fair, so I'll do a roll for him, but just to, to put my money where my mouth is, so to speak. Some of your competition, you have one dwarf come up and just say, "Alone in the mine, alone in the dark. I'm working real hard, gonna make my mark."
Yeah.
Performance roll.
Performance roll, yeah.
That guy gets.
That didn't go so well.
I can't pick spells on the spot. I certainly can't write a couplet on the spot, so bring it. I can see Chooch and Mark still thinking furiously.
I was gonna say, is there a timer involved?
So I've got a 12 total. So
well, I had to. Was there anything to add to performance? Oh wait, that's
not unless you're proficient. So otherwise, it's just charisma.
Yeah. Oh, not charismatic. Yeah, 11.
All right.
Wonk, wonk. About as good as I would expect. Team sport.
You have another dwarf who goes up and says, "When there's no light, I see just fine, 'cause I'm always at home when I'm in my mind."
I love the fact that they're all Western dwarves.
Right?
I guess it's a thing when dwarves sing. We always have to have a bit of
Yeah, it just comes out.
Southern
You know?
Hill
It's like it's what's in right now in dwarven music.
Gotcha.
All right, I got it. I got it. All right. Now I kind of want to have that Southern twang. There is nothing at all to fear in the dark when happiness, friendship, or beer's in your heart.
All right.
Nice. Good job.
Nice.
So basically, you can either do a straight roll and keep your inspiration, or you can roll with advantage.
I'll do the straight roll because he's also drunk.
All right.
Right.
All right. This is, what is this based on?
Charisma.
Charisma. I have that. 19.
19. Nice. You get applause with that one.
Nice.
Thank you. Tip your waiter and drink the beer.
All right. How about you, Archie? Got a song for us?
I do. I come for thee to where thou dwell, to cleanse the world from your hell.
Nice.
Dang.
Ooh.
Bring that
Everyone,
vengeance.
the room kind of goes silent at first, and it's like, whoa, yeah, all
No,
right.
really, he's a tiefling. He's not actually from, like, I'm trying to explain it.
So same deal. You can either have inspiration and hang on to it, or you can roll with advantage.
I'll take that inspiration. Sweet, sweet inspiration.
All right.
Calm yourself. I mean, cool.
It's been a long time since I've had any.
Aww.
All right. So you're gonna do a roll. You can do a straight performance roll.
Gotcha.
And keep your inspiration.
16.
16. All right. Looks like the winner is the hometown boy, Alaric Copperbeard.
Well done.
More ale.
More ale, and I would say the rest of the evening fades into a beer-soaked blur as the party continues long into the night, and you don't even have to worry about partying until the sun comes up, because who cares?
There's no sun.
No sun down
There's no
here.
sun.
All right. So,
Constitution rolls for hangovers.
yeah.
Now this should be a Constitution saving throw.
Little Miss won the drinking contest, rolls the disadvantage.
She has, I think, advantage versus poison, though.
It's not, well, it's dwarves do, but elves don't.
Oh, well, I was thinking Andrew.
Or half.
Oh, Andry. Andry is a Lightfoot halfling, which not a stout heart halfling. So she's
a light drunk.
Yeah.
Okay.
No poison resistance there.
And
Ooh,
a
nat
13.
20. Feeling fine.
Plus 3. 16 total.
All right.
I had an 18. I had it.
Wow, never is in double digits. Let's see. The higher roll was a 9, so with my Constitution, I think that's 11.
All right.
It's been a while.
No one under 10 though. All right. Yeah. So like you guys feel like you partied all night, but there's no one who's really sick.
It's funny. I kind of actually like losing those rolls. So
Yeah.
makes it much more entertaining.
Well, you guys are probably grateful though that there's no bright sunlight to, you know.
Hate the sunlight.
So here's the question. You guys are certainly nobody is rushing you out of bed or anything, but well, here's also just another brief question. Amethyst, how much of that party did you just stay as the bear for your whole?
I did.
The whole
I
time?
did. Yep.
Party
I rolled it with the Constitution modifier for a bear. I was double checking how long I stay in that form to make sure that.
Yeah, because it's
Is it like 8 hours? Right? It's not
well,
24.
it's not that long because it started at 1 hour, but it goes up as you level up. So let's see. I can pull up exactly how long it takes.
Oh, it's under monsters, isn't it? I haven't been able to find that stuff.
It's that's not it's
Okay.
not related to what you're turned into.
Okay.
You can stay in a beast shape for a number of hours equal to half your druid level rounded down. So you can be
Oh, yeah.
3 hours at a time now.
Yeah, I would have woken up in human form. Let me see if I got that roll right. Human form. So yeah, I still yeah.
Yeah, but
This
for
is
sure
fun.
this counts as a long rest. So you guys are able to sleep, and you definitely Andrea is still wearing her runner-up sash in the morning.
As she should.
So yeah, so you guys now are kind of at your liberty. Nobody's chasing you out. You guys can do as you like.
Well, I need to go speak to the priest because I told him I would, and that's going to be super awkward. So he'll probably be really disappointed.
I'm sleeping in.
Yeah. I'm rolling over and yeah. I'm okay with missing the awkward conversation with the other cleric. Just this one time, though. Just this once.
All right. So here's the question. I don't necessarily have specific things in mind, but we can absolutely role play that conversation. And you can ask questions, and it might very well be valuable. But I will let you know that I wasn't necessarily specifically trying to see like a specific thing for you or anything like that.
All right, it felt like you were leading me that way.
Oh no,
Yeah, I'll go learn about
rolling with it.
What
Yeah.
what was the spirit's name?
I
Igneous?
keep forgetting
No.
it too.
Haraz.
Haraz, yeah.
Haraz, yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
I want to go learn about Haraz.
Right. So I guess what I'm asking is if you want to actually role play out the conversation, or I can just tell you what you learn and stuff.
You just tell me what I learn. It's fine.
Playing with a little Lego guy and still. Yeah. So basically, you go back and you meet with Father Igneous, and you learn he's been the main cleric for this spirit, Haraz, who the mouth thing is not really like a physical like mouth of a creature exactly, although he does laugh that it's it's evocative, isn't it? That sort of thing. But he has been the main cleric for 300 years there, working, serving Haraz, who helps with many of the necessities in this whole area, because both protecting them from unstable ground, protecting against cave-ins, that sort of thing. The heat helps to fuel the bellows which run some of their forges, and also help to power the enormous bellows that circulate air through all of the different caverns. And he generally seems very happy with his role in life, just in the sense that this is a very powerful being that likes to interact with the mortal creatures around it, and he finds it very rewarding.
What sort of form does Haraz take? Because Rushama prefers the golden dragon.
Mm-hmm. Haraz does not typically manifest as a being. It tends to make the environment respond in various ways, like you saw with the room kind of rumbling a little bit. Or, for example, when Haraz would speak, you tend to hear it like an echo coming down a long corridor rather than like seeing a mouth move and words come out, so to speak. But at the same time, the times that Haraz has manifested before, it was as a like a being made of like glowing hot rocks, you know, like an earth elemental spirit, but you know, almost, you know, like it had just come out of a volcano.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of what I might share about Rushama that wouldn't be like too revealing about where I come from. And I just thought of a question and now I can't remember what it was.
That's all right. Some of the things he would probably ask you about are just like, how long have you been a cleric for Rushama? And, you know, you're obviously traveling around. Do you have a specific pilgrimage you're doing or anything like that? And in fact, you know, he doesn't ask you if you have a gift, but you know that the sorts of things like the rocks that he gave to Alaric, you know, Rushama doesn't tend to send those out, but you certainly would be aware that, you know, people do bring things like that from other spirits to Rushama.
All right. Yeah, so I'm not really sure how to answer the how long have I been a cleric question, because technically it's like 100 years.
This is just an old guy asking you a question, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you can tell him whatever you want.
Right. All right. Yeah. Okay.
He's just, you
So,
get the
yeah,
sense
it
that he
wasn't-
like you get the sense that he's got no ulterior motive here. He's just talking shop.
All right.
Two
So,
clerics
yeah.
hanging out without
Cleric
alcohol.
that doesn't want to be a cleric.
Right. Details, honey, details.
You know, comparing holy symbols and
So here's the thing. Tell me, like, how you're not wanting to be a cleric. Like, how much do you think that would come across?
I think she would, you know, I don't really know, because it's not like she spent a lot of time in the temple. So I think she would come across as either very new and not sure of like her role in everything. So her purpose in going to talk to him is kind of to hear about his kind of everyday and what it means to him to have this job and because she still doesn't think she wants it.
Well, so as far as his own experience, I mean, the way he thinks about it is that he acts as kind of the intermediary that this benevolent spirit likes working with mortals to do good for the community, and he gets to be sort of an instrument of that, and also you know, a communication in the sense of helping the spirit to know what would be the most helpful for it to do, because it's not all knowing. So he is, you know, able to kind of advise and then transmit some of that power. He finds it very rewarding. But I think in response to your sort of uncertainty / inexperience, what he would probably say is, Rushama has granted you some of his power. That means that a part of Rushama is inside you. And when you are feeling uncertain about that, just know that your abilities are proof positive that Rushama is with you.
Well, for Nura, it's not a question of Rushama being with her. It's that she knows he's with her. That's what bothers her. So I would also ask if maybe there have ever been any unconventional clerics that were sent to do a much larger task than what would be considered normal, like for their pilgrimage.
He says, well, Haraz does not typically require pilgrimages from the clerics here. I mean, we might go on, missions of sorts, to help people where there's a cave-in disaster in another territory or something like that. We may go to assist or that sort of thing, but we don't typically have quests of the type that I think you are asking about. But that is how it has been in my lifetime. There have been, of course, in going back in history, there have been times when there are problems that are not simply a cave-in the next territory over, but issues that threaten the entire world. And in those times, more may be asked of those who are able to provide.
So, but the clerics that are clerics of Haraz, they're generally it's what they've chosen, correct?
Yes.
That's the path they've chosen.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
It's often a mutual sort of decision.
Has there ever been a case where it wasn't?
Is that the experience you have had?
Possibly.
He's going to read that as a yes, by the way.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure.
Well, each spirit has its own style. I am most familiar, of course, with Haraz, who tends to be he's a spirit who has spent most of his experiences with mortals is with dwarves, and we are practical people. He has tended to adopt practical ways. I would imagine that Rashama, as powerful as he is, encounters a great many different types of creatures, elves like yourselves, but also any of the creatures that may make their home in the mountains, above ground or below. And any of those would influence Rashama's approach to the world. And any of those may shape what he has in mind. You would know him better than I, though.
Sometimes I wonder about that. Most of the time I feel like I don't know him at all.
Well, welcome to the ineffable mysteries.
All right. Well, thank you for your counsel.
I hope that you are able to find some of the answers you seek, and if not, then to be at peace with the mystery.
I suppose time will tell. Right. I will toddle on back to the Copperbeard estate. See if my companions are awake yet.
Okay. So, you guys, I would imagine. Well, so here's the question: are you guys planning to stick around for a little longer down in this area, or are you eager to catch the next train back to the gate and return to Villanocta? What's the goal here?
To the gate. To the gate.
To the gate.
All right. So, I would imagine we have, a slightly emotional farewell on the behalf of Alaric, and some of the people who thought he was dead and now he's not, but we're glad we got to have a feast, but now you're leaving. That's weird. Okay, good luck. I hope you don't die out there. That sort of thing.
Miss you.
Yeah.
Probably the most emotion for Alaric is with his mother.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of a curt nod to his dad.
Mm-hmm. He returns it. But yeah, with Alaric's mother, she looks like she's trying to put on a brave face for you.
It won't be 4 years, but I'll be back. I'll try to send word when I can and watch over him and make sure the statues get made.
I'll see to it.
Good. I give her a hug.
All right. She hugs back.
I got both hands now. Look at that.
Yeah.
I went to the damn cleric.
She says, and don't you feel better?
Yes, mother.
That's what you say.
Yeah. All right. So you guys head to the train station to catch the train.
Anything you want to pick up before we go? It might be a long journey.
Well, it's a few hours on the train to get back to the area where the gate was.
Yeah, but beyond that, we're hitting the road, right?
Yeah, but there's also lots of like the place where you're riding the train to is sort of the big trade hub where everyone from the outside trades with everyone. So you could get stuff there too.
Okay.
How are you with horses?
They tend to be taller than me.
Well,
I
they
like
were taller
trains.
than they were taller than Mugen too.
Yeah, but he's lighter on his feet. On this day of travel, too, by the way, it's the first time you see Alaric kind of in his full regalia. He's got very nice looking armor, full armor that he wasn't wearing at all before, just bare chested before. The large war pick, the large maul is across his back. The war pick is there. There's a small utilitarian light hammer replacing the one that actually meant something to him. But he cleans up pretty well.
Nice.
Beard is freshly braided and oiled, even.
All right. Nice. So you guys are riding this train, and it's the reverse journey for a trip that you each made when you were coming to the Copperbeard territory in the first place. And there's several places where you're just going through dark tunnels, but you're riding in this comfortable train car that has, tables and seats, and it's, lit in here with gas lamps, and it's comfortable enough. And there's, a few other passengers here and there, but not a very crowded train. And there are places where the tunnel kind of opens up into just enormous caverns that are so large that, like, even with dark vision, you know that the just empty space extends well beyond where you can see. And sometimes you'll hear water, in the distance, like a underground waterfall or whatever, just these enormous spaces. And you're about midway through the journey when all of a sudden you kind of feel the train's momentum jerk a little bit, like someone's been messing with the controls, and then you're kind of pressed back into your seats a little bit, like the train is accelerating, but not in a very smooth way. It's even when you were just coming out of the station, it was kind of a very smooth glide, and so for it to suddenly kind of lurch forward definitely feels unusual. And the other passengers look concerned too.
Maybe there was something on the tracks.
Do you have any idea what's going on,
You're going
Alaric?
faster.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to find out, though, and I'll head up towards the front, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Are you all going up towards the front,
Absolutely.
or just?
Yeah, I'll go with.
Yep.
And in fact, actually, once you start moving forward, you actually are hearing some extra activity, and then you even hear a shout of anger from a dwarf, and then a loud clang, and then the train kind of jerks again and then starts going even faster. And you make your way from one car over the little coupling into the next car, which is identical to the one you just came through, but it's the one right behind the engine itself. And what you see in this car is, at first your eyes want to kind of just roll right off of them because it doesn't your brain can't quite interpret what you're seeing, but then you realize what you're seeing looks a little bit like something you've seen before, but not quite the same. It looks like a goblin-shaped hole in space. And instead of seeing the goblin there, you see fire in one of them, ice in another, lightning in yet another.
Oh, God.
What in the fire?
And they are wreaking havoc. They are just tearing stuff up. And yes, roll for initiative, but that's where we're going to leave it for tonight.
Oh! Dun, dun, dun.
I already had my dice in my hand.
I thought we might do that encounter tonight, but we did a lot of stuff beforehand.
Yeah.
There were drinking games to be done.
Yeah.
It was a priority.
There was closure to be hunted down and found. Oh, that was fun, though.
Yay.
It was nice to be back after a 2-week break.
Yeah.
With a drinking party.
Yeah.
Celebration.
Right on time.
Yep. So we'll pick up next time with finding out what are these things? Why are they wrecking your train?
How are we going to serve them their asses?
I can't even find their asses. They're holes in space.
Yeah. So Alaric, you have not encountered this mystery creature that they have seen a couple of times before in various places. So I would imagine for Alaric, you're just like. This is a weird personal anecdote, but there was one time when I lived in North Carolina, a bat got into my apartment and it just flew into the living room and started just flying circles around the ceiling. And my brain just locked up because it's not like I was even scared. It was just like, does not compute. And I literally just froze thinking like, I don't understand what's happening right now. And I would imagine it's a little bit something like that because what you're seeing it's not even just something you haven't seen before. It doesn't seem like it is a thing exactly. It's almost like it's the opposite of a thing. And yet there it is tearing the upholstery of the seats.
They probably don't even have tickets.
Not always the way.
Probably not.
We had friends in the chat. Did you see?
Hey, yes, I did. Paulette, of course, and then
Gus showed up.
Gus, yay! Hey,
And
Gus.
JT. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining our silliness tonight.
Hey.
Drink.
Yep. And so I just realized looking at the YouTube that it has our big profiles here, but it also is showing the little thumbnails below. I think I would have adjusted it a little bit if I'd realized that's what was happening, but that's fine.
Right.
But I would definitely. But yeah, if what I do want to say though, both thank you for you guys watching live, and then anyone who is watching this or listening to this later. I'm definitely very interested in feedback about whether which format you consume in. Like, do you watch the YouTube version? Do you listen to the podcast version? And what do you think about it? Like, any feedback? What do you like? What do you not like? Tell us.
And we're on YouTube at the moment. We're supposed to be on Twitch. That was supposed to be the technical.
Yeah. The intent, if all goes well, is that the live streaming will go on Twitch, which is easier because I can give just the Twitch channel link, and it'll be the same every time, rather than each YouTube live hangout having to have its own link.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then, so that, of course, means that rather than the live chat here at YouTube, we'll have the Twitch chat instead. But the archive will still go to the YouTube channel, and so all that still happens.
Cool.
That's the idea, anyway.
Sweet.
But Twitch, it
was borked tonight.
It twitched.
Twitch was borked. Although it looks like it's back up now, but
Of course.
it wasn't
Oh, yeah.
when we were starting. So, in any case, love you guys. We'll be back to play some more and fight phase goblins on a train.
Oh my god, I can't
So
wait.
many levels.
On so many levels.
Yes.